Now, as you know, this year's forum is the future of news. And when we're talking about climate change also, I will try to steer this conversation into this direction, future of news. Just to give you an example, some figures. Of course, in the description of the panel, you see more disasters, more severe disasters, and more emergency coverage. At Asiavision, in the last 3 years, in 2022, Asiavision members contributed 6% of their stories on disaster and climate change coverage, which is around 917 individual news items. This increased by a percentage in 2023 last year. And this year so far, we have got 971 items of disaster and climate coverage, which is by half a year the same amount as 2 years ago. So you can see the importance of climate coverage to our Asiavision and the larger ABU family as well. So let me just start with you, Dr. Tasmina. As I mentioned, Bangladesh this year has faced severe flooding. It has faced extreme heat waves, and it has seen destructive cyclones. How do you mobilize your journalists? How do you organize your operations when reporting disasters?
Thank you, Afruh Rasheed, for inviting me. Before moving on to your question, I just want to draw your attention to some points, meaning some uniqueness of disaster management in Bangladesh. As we all know that Bangladesh is a role model in disaster management capacity. Being a developing country, Bangladesh is, I should say, it has built a very disaster resilient nation. Whatever we have, we can survive. We have that courage to fight back, right? So we can stand up. From the very beginning also we can stand up, okay? And we have the very improved kind of early warning system nowadays we have. Last time in 1970, there was a very disastrous cyclone called Gorky, where we have that the casualty, the death toll was 7 digit. Now we have brought down it to single digit one. Still we have that kind of calamities, but we can bring it to single digit thanks to our early warning system. And another one, very unique features is voluntarism. In our country, people, the common people, they join the government agencies, government relief activities and rehabilitation activities to, to help other people. Say, for example, we have as many as 78,000 CPP volunteers. Of them, 50% are women. So any disaster, be it natural, be it man-made. Last time in Rana Plaza disasters, the common people, they joined hand with the government to rescue the victims. So this is, I should say, this is a unique features of our nation that we are, we want to help people. Okay. Above all, our government has given our Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief the extreme power, meaning when there is a disaster, the ministry, they have the extreme power to use any infrastructure, any resource for the rescue operation and for reallocation and rehabilitation as well. Any government structures, any schools, any colleges, any university will be turned into cyclone shelters. You understand it or not? Okay. So this is our, how we fight back the natural calamities. And above all, we have formulated SOD, Standing Order of Disaster. Okay. This is some sort of Bible where we have the, nothing is left where it doesn't spell out. Nothing is left. Every pros and cons has been spelled out in this Standing Order on Disasters, SOD. So we follow the SOD, we will be coming successful, okay? And to say, this is not the meaning, the final one is we are proactive, not reactive in managing disasters. So we plan beforehand, we have regular meetings so that we know what are our loopholes, what need to be improved. So we are proactive and it is a continuous process. So that's the unique features we have. So when there is a disaster, say for example, we have those weather bulletins that there is a cyclone imminent. So what we do, we need to focus on our coastal areas where we want to see how is the situation there, what are the preparedness, what are the people's awareness. We will be showing people that our CPP, our volunteers, they are working round the clock to people make aware about the imminent disasters and ask them to go to the shelters, cyclone shelters. Nowadays, our cyclone shelters have, they can accommodate people as well as their cattle also, live cattle also, because in the rural areas, they don't want to leave their cattle. So they say, no, we will be staying back. So we have that facility in our shelters as well. So, what the local administration is doing for the rehabilitation, reallocation of their of the affected people, and above all the relief operations, relief and preparedness operations we'll be showing. So we have 64 stringers across the country. BTV got stringers in every district. We have one stringers. So we'll be asking them to show the situation there, what are the preparations is going on, how is the awareness program, and the situation in the shelter, cyclone shelters, the relief operation when there is the landfall of the cyclone or anything. So what is the relief operation? What kind of lackings we have? So this we have. What I want to say that we sort of work in a concerted way, very integrated way. We fight back the natural calamities. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tasmina. Yeah, I'm glad you ended up with the cyclone example because my next question is to Indra, who comes from a really cyclone-prone area. With the increasing climate-related disasters we've had this year, and also the rise in technology, the rise in AI technology, how has your newsrooms adapted in terms of reallocating your budgets or resources to address climate change?
Thank you, Afruh, and pleasure, and to our fellow panelists, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think you have asked about budget. There's no budget for newsrooms like us, specifically for investing in technology or sorts of things like AI, etc., which would help other bigger newsrooms, perhaps. Now, we get together and we do it the traditional way. However, it is about convincing your superiors and those in charge higher above than you. But they also have other priority areas to look at, whereby they have to see if they're going to push that amount of X dollars into buying a new software, or will it be pushed towards buying a new camera, particularly for a smaller newsroom. Having said that, we are slowly starting to see that the mindset is changing, whereby people are starting to understand that without coming on board or getting on board with the advancing technology that's being made available all around the world for newsrooms, you will be left way behind. Gone are the days of your traditional people in the islands who could give you a cyclone update, 2 hours later that it's passed. Now people want it ASAP. It's approaching. This is what we've done. This is where we are. At this juncture, I'd just like to say that women as first responders have played a very big role in ensuring that how we've dealt with coverage in terms of what they've done in taking care of their families, in being out there in the environment, in the communities rather, and being in the newsroom at the same time, providing coverage. So I think that is something that I wanted to add. But back to technology, we are getting there, but you'll still face obstacles. And I have no qualms in saying it. Perhaps for smaller countries, particularly since you are about 10 years off where you fully get up to a stage of even being on stage one of what the bigger broadcasters are on at the moment, primarily because there's no money. If the bigger broadcasters are, trying to get revenue, which is very hard to come by, imagine what's happening to smaller broadcasters and media organizations, which are fighting for the same dollar amongst, 4 or 5 media companies in smaller countries.
I think you've raised some great questions about, both of you have mentioned resource allocations for smaller, not smaller newsrooms, but vulnerable newsrooms, I would say. I will get back to that point in the next part of discussions, but before that, earlier in the discussions on the panels that we've had today, we've talked about truth, how integral truth is, especially in this changing media landscape. And Mr. Pipope, I would like to ask you about the role of newsrooms, especially when reporting climate change, what the crucial role of what newsrooms can do to maintain this trust, in maintaining this trust with that traditional media organizations have built so far.
Well, thank you very much, and nice meeting all of you today. I think the future of newsroom, as far as climate change is concerned, has to involve a lot of inclusivity. Before this, I'm from the generation a little bit after Kunkawi, but then I'm from the days when broadcasting business was really big, and we are, the people who go and do the news gathering. But in today's landscape, we have to acknowledge everybody, and we have to find a way to use our technology to include as many people as possible. I have heard wonderful news about the volunteers, and I think that is something that Thai PBS, I used to work at Thai PBS, by the way, as a deputy director general, and during my administration, and even today, we encourage the so-called citizen journalism, which for many of you, you might feel that it's a little bit questionable but for the climate story, or environmental story, leave alone the political story for a while, it's really useful because they are there and they know exactly what happened. And many times they know much, much better than the newsroom or the editors who, resided really centralized in Bangkok. So we have to find a way to include them, and one way of doing it is let their mobile devices become an instrument of news reporting. And of course, in today's world, we move further into the so-called citizen journalism. No, citizens scientists. That means they can also gather information for us, like precipitation, the amount of rainfalls, the amount of water in the creeks or river. All this information is really useful for the people who do the planning. So I think that is very important. And in order to do that, news organizations have to develop a new way of being connected to the people. They are no longer our consumers or our what do you call it, the people who are just waiting to be at the end of the line, but they are like collaborators. They're the people that work with us, and they have to have that trust, and we have to have that trust. Many times, there's a big question mark coming up when I talk about citizens' involvement. And it's true even in a really democratic country, because people feel that people are very biased, and we professional journalists are being trained to at least be really aware of our own biases. But I think in today's age, with the new kind of technology, and we will talk about AI later, it can be really useful, because the reason AI has to step in, because when you ask so many people to do the data collection, then you have this big data, and there's no one person who's going to be able to respond to that, as you say, ASAP. So you need a machine. But as someone who follow your direction, not someone who make decision, I would have to say that I really like this quote. I'm going to end to be brief, that actually we should use AI to clean our ditches, not writing us poems. Have you heard that? So I think humanistic value, our empathy, our commitment to the wellness of fellow human beings and other entities is really important amidst the usefulness of AI.
And I think you've mentioned a very important aspect of using not just AI, but the vast pool of resources for less resourced newsrooms, which is citizen, I would not call them citizen journalists, but citizen information sources, I would say. So I'll come back to that point later, but going back to the resources, how to allocate these things. You've mentioned that the budget constraints when it comes to relaying important climate information, and I'm sure as public broadcasters you are facing this challenge, but private broadcasters will not face this challenge. They are much more well-resourced, much more budget. They have more budget. How do you address this? How do you overcome this challenge when relaying accurate, relaying accurate information to your audiences?
Actually, there is social media, social platforms, everything, but still television has a very important role. When there is a disaster, people will be switching on the television, right, to see, to know what's going on. So, Bangladesh is a small country, but we have as many as 40 commercial televisions, cable televisions we have. So we are the only one, the public service broadcasters, okay? So while addressing any disaster situation, Bangladesh television, meaning we face, we are in some sort of dilemma. We are in a fix what to do, because let me elaborate. The commercial television, what they do, they anything they want to do, they want to make it more sensitized. You see, they want to exaggerate the figures. They want to, they highlight the negative things. In COVID-19 situation, our country, our government have, they have given financial assistance to 1 crore people. Okay, so this is a big amount, the government have spent. So there was one television news is that, there is one family who have been starving for weeks. They don't have any food, and very, very juicy, very some sort of very negative story. So what we we went there, we investigate this case, and we found out that the story is fabricated. The family, they are very well off, but somehow they says that people didn't reach us. Somehow they make the story, meaning the public service broadcasters, we want to resort to the fact-finding situation. Anything we want to, we'll be putting on air. We have to we have to check back, right? We have to check back because we have that kind of responsibility. And for the private television channels, they don't have, because anything goes wrong, they will say, oh, sorry. But for us, we cannot do that. It is, very crucial, and always we will be, facing the people that the public service broadcasters are very lazy people. You cannot, give quick, statistics. You cannot give information quickly because we need to check back. Whenever there is, the polling in any election, the results, we have to check back with the election commission. So without their endorsement, we cannot publish that election result. Okay.
And I think you give, not to cut you short, but because we are running out of time. But the importance that dilemma which public broadcasters face is the trust that audiences put in public service broadcasters, and especially public service broadcasters who also serve the function of state broadcasters.
Yes.
Audiences often choose between verifying their own conclusions, whether the public service broadcaster is giving the accurate information or whether they are a mouthpiece for the government.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that public service broadcasters and state broadcasters will face. Coming to you, Indra, along the same lines, misinformation and disinformation, especially on online platforms, or whether it's competing private broadcasters. When you are relaying this information, disaster information to your audiences, now in Fiji you have a huge gap between your rural and urban populations. So what is your strategy in addressing misinformation, addressing fake news when you relay this information to these two different demographics?
Yeah, thank you. I think it goes back to what Pipope said earlier on. It's about having your trusted sources out there. So they're not really citizens, journalists, but they are people you know. It could be your family member. It could be someone that you grew up with. Somebody you trust, who you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, are you 5 hours out of Suva? What's the weather like there? What's happening there? Could you give me an update, etc.? Just coming back to what you asked before this, Afruh, I think it's a very important topic. How do small newsrooms or growing newsrooms, cope with the technology? I think the answer is right here, collaborations. I think collaborations takes you a long way. And for us, for climate change in particular, FBC has collaborated with the ABC out of Australia, whereby because of them, we were able to get onto their platform of the weekly climate change show that they have. So if you collaborate, that is one way of, bypassing the budgetary constraints to get that done. But back to, trying to get verified information, which is very important. Some years ago, I think it was 12, 13 years ago, our Met Office got a flooding information totally wrong. They had said that it was going to, pour at this time and the flooding would happen. 4 hours before that, an entire town was underwater with people not being able to leave their homes, and there was a big backlash. I think people have become smarter, and in the modern day, yes, technology is developing and evolving, and out of the 800,000 population, we've got 600,000 smartphone users. So they are out there, they know what is happening, they are able to help us and collaborate and, get the, of course, verification and, fact-checking is very important to get that information out.
And just along that line, to you, Mr. Pipope, we've talked about how to present this information that we get, the vast source of information that we get. How do you think you can leverage AI in presenting this in a very economically feasible or ways that, the less resourced newsrooms can leverage the technology that we are coming up with?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the technological question, but I just want to follow up a little bit on collaboration, if I may. The key to climate change reporting is not only informing, but we want them to be able to have some kind of actions. People have to know what to do when things strike, not after. I think gone through the day when disasters strike and the media is just going and looking for interesting tear-jerking story. Those days are gone because of the social medias are taking over. So our job is actually before the disaster strike. What can we inform them so they know what to do? Even in a very small way, say the seasonal shift. Like, in Thailand at one time, we used to have a longer cold weather, and that's really nice for tourism industry. But now it's only one day left. And how can they adapt to that? That's, I think, it's climate change reporting as well. You don't have to wait for the big landslide or the rising. Those are really serious and really important. But I think there are these stories as well that you need to look at your readers and your listener as collaborators. Once they read it and learn it, and they know what to do next. And many times I've learned that they are the one who have the solutions. So solution can come back to us, and we can go creating this continuous flow of information coming in, data collection from the field, information come in, go through our editorial, make it interesting, as you say. And one thing that generative AI can do, which I think it's not that good yet, it can visualize certain circumstance so it can be communicated to the mass. Like, hey, this is what can happen if we, if things gonna go toward the direction that it's going. The flood can be worsened in so-and-so area. I think generative AI is capable of doing that. Less, they have to have accurate input. So without good grounded data, you notice one thing, all the AI's generative pictures, they look weird. They look so centralized, and they don't look that real. Even the good one, with the ChatGPT, 4.0, it has still problematic. So I think we can use it, maybe 5 years or 3 years from now. Now the time getting really short, 10 years, I'm probably gone myself. But nonetheless, I think the key to your answer is that, yeah, you can try, and you should, especially doing data evaluation and generating visual or information or maybe some graphs with good data. But without good input, AI is only, it can be really deceiving. And that's one thing that I think that all of us are aware of that. But nonetheless, we jump on the bandwagons for one reason, that it's quick, easy, fast, and can be profitable. So, well, I don't know. That's the kind of things that everybody have to make a decision.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all three panelists.